Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are here for Monday market moves, what happened last week in the markets, and what I expect for next week. Alrighty, let's go to the charts. Starting out as always with the S&P 500. So we hit new all-time highs on Thursday, hit 57.41. It's up 1.4% for the week. Trading above all these moving averages here. This is a very bullish looking chart. Looking like for at least the first few days of next week that we are going to continue to go up. I would expect new all-time highs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before maybe a slight retracement. The dollar is still trading on the bottom end of this box. It's down 1/3% for the week. The Fed cut rates by 50 basis points. I expect over time the dollar will get weaker as they continue to do so. Next level of support is going to be right down here around 99.60 or so, but eventually I think we're getting back down here to 89 or 90. Japanese yen. We went from 140 up to 143, no surprise there. And the US 10-year minus 2-year yield is continuing to go higher like we thought it would. Once it breaks past this white line, we expect a pretty steep increase in the difference of these yields. It did blow through some significant resistance here on the 200 weekly moving average. I thought it might bounce on that and no, it just blew right through it. So we are off to the races. I believe recession is incoming. And this is also what we expected for the 1-month treasuries with lowering of 50 basis points. It now closed the week at 4.76. I would expect it'll probably hang out a little bit around here. It might have overshot just a tiny bit. So we may settle out at like 4.8 or 4.85 or so going forward until the next rate cut. And this was one that I placed in, I'm buying bonds here. Essentially, VGIT is just the intermediate treasury bonds, duration 7 to 10 years, about like that. And there's no technical entry that I see on these here. This is basically a bet as the Fed continues to, it's a trade, as the Fed continues to cut rates, as the yield goes down on these bonds, then the price of the bonds go up, and I'm trying to capture that little moment in time. As far as this goes, we are basically just hoping that the bond vigilantes do not show up. I'm going to give a shout out here to Lobo Tigre's free newsletter. It's a must read for me every week. You get one email after the market closes every week to keep you up to date. He summarizes the markets we follow and puts in a lot of helpful charts and graphs outlining his macro forecasts. It's my favorite price, free. Here's a little teaser from his email this week and Lobo's thoughts on cash. I like this a lot. He says, build cash. I'm not saying that a market crash is now the most likely outcome. It's still possible that bad news is good news thinking could make the market wobble on recession news and then take off to new highs. But it's also possible that the news would shock mainstream economists, pundits, talking heads, and people like us, investors. And that could precipitate a crash. It's therefore prudent to start building up cash, both to avoid getting hurt and to have it handy when spectacular bargains come knocking. Again, I am not, capital NOT, saying to sell everything and go to cash. But if there are profits to be taken and investments that have no pressing deadline, I plan to lean towards building cash for now. Read the full article and his macro outlook. Link is in the notes below. It's a must read for me. Gold, another, once again, story of the week. We got new all-time highs. Last week it was 26.10. This week it closed at 26.44, up 1.3% for the week. This is going to be amazing on the quarterly charts. If I don't want to jinx it, so I'll stop talking there. Gold divided by the S&P 500, same as it was last week, 0.464, but we are getting very close to that 50% line. And when that happens, gold is off to the races. We just don't want a little false breakout like we had back here. We want a sustained one like we have in these moments here, like that one. And we can see that generally speaking, this is a trend line that is moving up. GDX divided by gold is basically flat. Both gold miners and gold went up at about the same rate. CEF up 1.8% for the week. Looks like I sold a little bit of that too soon. I put it into Devon Energy, which has still pretty much been flat. This is taking off. Maybe selling any gold right now is a mistake. GDX up 1% for the week. Still see resistance just slightly above where we are now. We'll call it 41, 4160. I'm just retracing back here. But I got to say, in these gold stocks, we're getting pretty stretched in the technicals here. But if you guys saw the video I did last week on when the Fed cuts rates, how different commodities perform after that, I think we're going to have a continued run up here in gold and gold stocks in the short term, maybe in the next few months. And then after that, when the recession really starts hitting and people are losing their jobs, they don't care about Agnico Eagle. They have to sell it to put food on the table. So that's when we could have a pretty amazing washout where it might create some deals like Lobo was talking about, having a cash position. GDX up 1.5% for the week. Resistance is still at 52, but we're getting close. You know, this it's still looking pretty stretched. I do got to say here, though, look at the RSI here and how we have a general lower highs coming in here on the RSI, which is indicative that we might be getting a little bit of a rollover here soon. Franco-Nevada up 2.6% for the week. Still got support at 117, right around this 200 moving average here. And I'm still liking 115 for a stink bed. If something comes in, we might hit that. But best gold royalty company on the planet. Resistance is right about now, or 129, 130, right in that range. So I wouldn't be a purchaser here. I'd be waiting on a pullback. And Wheaton Precious Metals, flat for the week. Resistance is at about, well, just right up there. We'll call it 64, pretty much almost where we're at now. We got some pretty stretched technicals here, and we did hit a new all-time high on, what was that, Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday, the Fed meeting. Hit a new all-time high at 64.30. So if you're looking to trim any in Wheaton Precious Metals, I think now is a decent time. Gold Royalty Corporation down 4.3% for the week. Oh, there we are. Gold Royalty Corporation down 4.3% for the week. I like any limit orders down here around 120. Maybe you get lucky and it even gets down in around 118. These lows right here, nice little double bottom. Got some in there, and I think this one is going to perform very well in the gold bull market. Origin Royalties up 4% for the week. So when we started getting into this thing in one of the rule boot camps, we've since had more than a double. Target for this one is still going to be $1.33 USD. I trimmed about a third of my original bet, but I still have 85% of my shares. So I took a little bit off the table. And next sell order for me is going to be $1.20, although I think we blow past that. I just like to take a little bit off the table, just generate a little bit of cash. Look at these technicals up here. I mean, super stretched. We got RSI at 65. And Barrick Gold down 2.2% for the week. Resistance is pretty much now, and or maybe a little north of that, like 21, but basically now. And I see support down here around $16, $17, $18. We do have a rising 200-day moving average, which is good, but I would love to see this get sold off, hit the 200-day, and then I think that would be a really nice entry point, although I don't think it'll happen. And Newmont up 1.4% for the week. Resistance is just a couple dollars above that, around 56 or so. And we are above the 200-day moving average, which is rising, which is good. Maybe we get a little pullback here to the 50 moving average. I don't see any buys in this right now, although I love this company. But yeah, like Newmont a lot. Agnico Eagle just killing it, is basically flat for the week. We're getting some pretty stretched technicals here in all these gold stocks, but I love this company, and you know, we've almost had a double from our purchases down here at 45 bucks. Very bullish looking chart, looking fantastic. Got some pretty serious resistance at $88, and that's basically just the high back here in 2020. B2 Gold, last week it was up 19%. This week it's up 7%. Sergio says I was able to add to my B2 Gold position at sub $2.70. Well done, sir. Nice catch. Our $2.50 stink bid that we've been talking about seems kind of silly now. Resistance is going to be just a hair shy of where it is now, around 350 and 375, where we've got the 200 weekly moving average slicing down. So I would expect there's going to be some resistance around that 200 and that 400 right there. And then it also lines up with some back support if you take it back a ways. I don't own that. I don't own this one, and I'm regretting that decision now. I guess they got some good news from the Mali government. When does good news from the government ever happen? But they approved their permits. So that's good. And G Mining Ventures is down 1.6% for the week. Resistance is going to be here at 750, and then these all-time highs at 790. Some great news for this company. Week before last, they purchased BHP's asset, Centro Gold. They've got 1.7 million ounces indicated, and what they're going to do is they're going to give BHP a 1% NSR for the first million ounces that they pull out, and then 1.5% NSR for any ounces after that. Rick said this was a great deal for both parties. If you want to hear more about this one, Rick and I went into detail over at the Rule Classroom. He gave us his projections for the future of G Mining and their path to continued success. Our next Q&A with Rick will be October 17th. So head over to the Rule Classroom and sign up so you can ask the expert anything you want. Next week in the Rule Classroom, we have Joe Mazumdar. He hasn't posted what his presentation will be yet, but his last one was awesome. It was a list of about 20 mining companies and his projections for them going into the future. And so far, his top picks have been right. Links are in the pinned comment below. I hope to see you there. Rio 2 with Alex Black. This one is looking fantastic. We had an amazing run up this week of 12%. I checked their website. There's no new news. I haven't called Alex, but I think they're getting close to construction here. He was hoping to start construction either this month or the next if they get all their financing. And with a run up like this, I think some insiders might know some news. And silver. Silver is up 1.2% for the week. It's holding the 200-day moving average, holding above 26, this powerful white line that we drew in there. And I'm pretty excited about this one. I have seen some downward channel trend lines right here. Some other TAs have drawn and said that we've broken above that. I'm not putting a whole lot of credence into this one here. I'm more so looking at like back support. So if you just take the price point of where we are now, 3150, and you draw this back over years, and if you really get into the weeds here, the levels that I see that hold significant resistance are 3250 and then around 3435. If we break above 35, man, our silver stocks are really going to take off. But there is a lot of resistance around $32.50, which we hit recently back here just a few months ago. And gold divided by silver is Still 84 to 1. So basically kind of flat, but a little volatile for the week. I don't really have a bias one way or the other on this. Yeah, actually I do. I think it'll probably slope up a little bit. So I think that gold will outperform silver next week. And First Majestic Silver up 1% for this week. Resistance is going to be, like main resistance, going to be up here around $8, $8.25, but we're above the 200 moving average right now. That's fantastic. Hopefully it holds. SILJ is up 0.8% for the week. Kind of getting pretty high here. I was debating taking some profits here. Basically what I've done here is I bought all of these here and then sold out and then got into another position here. The only ones that I still have are this one, and this purple one right here. And yeah, I'm debating taking a little profits. We'll keep a keen eye on gold and if it or on silver, and if it tests that 3250 and gets rejected, I might take some profits in this one. Pan American Silver up 0.7% for the week. This one's looking great. I like this company a lot. Some jurisdictional risk, but rising 200-day moving average. Like this one a lot. Silvercrest Metals, debated taking some more profits on this one. We're talking about these trading opportunities here in silver recently, where a lot of these silver stocks were coming down around the 200 moving average. Looks like that played out. I didn't play any of them. Called it, but didn't pull the trigger. But getting pretty stretched here on the technicals. RSI is 60, so I anticipate next week I may be trimming some more positions here. And Endeavor Silver up 0.5% for the week. David Screek had called this one. Had a monumental run up. We had him on the show. I think it was either here or here. And he was saying that he would wait for a retracement back down to the 200 moving average, which we've gotten in the last couple of months. And maybe we get a little bit of a retracement again. This might be a nice entry point down here around $2.80. And copper, paging Dr. Copper, up 2.3% for the week. It's above $3.85, which is good. I took out that trend line. I'm not sure why I did, but anyways, there's a upward channel trend line. Here, I'll just draw it again, and bam, something like that. I think it's looking pretty good here. If we can stay above this 200-day moving average, although I have a real fear here that when the recession does its worst, copper's probably going to get hit. Next week, we have Dave Erfel of JuniorMinerJunkie.com. Dave follows the junior miners in gold, silver, and copper. So make sure you submit your questions for Dave in the post for Dave under the community tab, and we will ask him on the air. Interview is tomorrow, Monday. COPX outperforming 7.2% to the upside this week, looking great above the 200-day moving average. We do have the 50 moving below right here, so that's not fantastic other than it acts as support underneath it. And COPJ is up 2.4% for the week. Still like a limit order down here around 1950. If you're not that cheap, then maybe put one around $20.60 or so just for this upward channel trend line. Arizona Metals down 12.2% for the week. Closed the week at $1.22. Still got my limit order in down here for $1.21. I almost moved it up on Friday and just paid the extra penny, but I think I just want to see if it hits. We'll see if it does or not. Monduro Capital down 6% for the week, still just trading kind of in this megaphone pattern, just right on this 200-day moving average. And uranium still at $80, well, $79.40. We're rounding up here. Patrick told me yesterday in the live chat, or was it day before yesterday, he said 3 Mile Island is reopening and Microsoft is buying all the power. Maybe that's why a lot of these uranium equities had a run. I'm not sure. But either way, I'm very bullish on uranium. We had to reschedule Justin Hune, our uranium expert, Be sure to submit your questions for Justin under the community chat tab. Also, check out his newsletter in the links down below. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust up 7.4% for the week. Still 65.5 million pounds of uranium sitting in a warehouse unavailable to the utilities. So looking pretty good here. What I like about this, let me go to a new share here. There we go. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust website. It's not quite the juicy 15% discount that we saw in the past when we were buying. It's closing here. It would not surprise me at all if this actually turns to maybe like a 1 or 2% discount, or maybe even goes to a premium next week. And if it does, if you're a trader, these purchases that we made back here, you can actually turn into a profit. So what's cool about this is that the spot price of uranium has just been hanging around here at 80 bucks, even when we were buying it. But the uranium trust has been violently, there's been a lot of volatility there, which has created some opportunities. And you can actually pick this stuff up at a discount and sell it when it's at a premium. So I really like it as a place to store cash. I mean, you just put 10 grand into there, and then a few months later you have 11,000, and so you made 10% in a couple of months. I think that's a good deal. And Cameco, look at that, up 9% last week, 10% this week. This double bottom in the uranium equities is playing out amazingly. And let's see, so where do we got some support? We definitely have some support down here around 35, 36. Got some resistance right about now. Okay, so unfortunately, we got a death cross right here, the 50 moving down below the 200 moving average. So maybe we got some downside here in the uranium, in Cameco. We'll see. A lot of the uranium equities look like this. And Kazatomprom still kind of trading in the bottom end of this box, down 5.8% for the week. If you want a position in Kazatomprom, I think that now is a decent time, and has been for the last couple of months. But remember, 75% of this company is owned by the state. Only 25% is available to us retail. URA up 6.9% for the week. Look at that gap right there. Usually these gaps get filled, but it still is fun to see on the charts. Had that double bottom just like everything else. Resistance is basically now, and then up here at 28.75, which is just lining up with some back support and this 200 moving average. URNM is up 5.7% for the week. Resistance is still going to be this 45 level. Support's going to be down here around 37. URNJ, the junior uranium miners ETF. Thank you, Sprott. Up 11.8% last week and 7.7% this week. Just absolutely killing it. Resistance is still going to be up here around 21. URNM divided by the metal itself is outperformed. So the equities outperformed the metal itself, and that makes sense because the metal didn't do anything, and the uranium and the equities went up. Just killed it. URNJ divided by Cameco, Kazatomprom, and the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust outperformed by 4.8% last week and 4.4% this week. So equities are outperforming the yellow cake. UROY up 9.3% last week, 9.9% this week. We've got resistance almost where we are now. I'm going to call it $2.40. There's just a whole lot of price action around there. And then we also have this slightly downward sloping 200 moving average right here around $2.55. Some people watch the Qs and we watch the Us, up 9.8% last week and 12.3% this week, just absolutely killing it. Resistance is going to be kind of around now, maybe $5.50. Support will be down here around $4.25. Uranium Energy Corporation, just absolutely balling, right? Up 19% last week, 9% this week. Resistance is going to be around now and then again at like $5.75. David was talking about golden crosses in the uranium sector. We'll address these when I do the TA episode, but here's an example of a golden cross. Let me clean some of these up here so it's a little bit easier to see. And what we're going to look at is the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. So you can use any moving average in a golden cross, but basically what it is it's a smaller moving average. Let's say the 10 is crossing above the 20 moving average, but the one that most technical analysts use are the 50-day and the 200-day. So here, this yellow line is the 50 moving day, and see how it moves above and crosses above this 200-day moving average. That's a golden cross. And look at what happened to the stock price after that. Now, it's kind of a lagging indicator because the real moment to buy was down here and you didn't have a golden cross until months later, right? But that's a golden cross right there. And then when we take the flip side of this and the 50 moving average moves below the 200-day moving average, that's what we call a death cross. And it usually means that the stock price is going to go down, and look at what happened. Okay, so once this finally irons itself out and the 50-day comes up like this and crosses above the 200-day moving average, that will be a golden cross again, a bullish sign. All right, hope that helps with golden crosses, and put in the comments below if that answered your question or helped or just confused you. I love this software, TradingView. This thing is awesome. I would have absolutely no idea how to cherry pick these bottoms and then sell at the top if it wasn't for this software. And I know you guys are liking it too, because you're sending me all your tweets and emails on stuff that you see, which I can pull up here for everyone else on Monday Market Moves. So thank you for using that link. It doesn't cost you any extra and it supports me and my work. I love getting your guys' tweets and charts. It's awesome. You can try it out 30 days for free with the link in the notes below. Absolutely no obligation. If you don't like it, well, it was free. And apparently you can use this for longer than 30 days free. My brother has apparently been using this for a couple of years and he hasn't paid for it. Now, he doesn't have near the moving averages and being able to put all these points on here with RSI and MACD and all that stuff. But hey, if that's you, you might be able to get it for even longer than 30 days. All right, and crude oil is up 3.4% for the week. So hit kind of a nice little bottom down here at 65 bucks and then shot up, retraced a little bit. Resistance is going to be just a little north of where we are. I'm going to call it $72, $73. Support will be down here around 64, 65. And gold divided by crude oil is it was 38 to 1 last week. Now it's 37.2 this week. So it means that it now takes 37.2 barrels of oil to buy you 1 ounce of gold. The ETF we all like, XLE, is up 3.7% for the week. So absolutely killing it. Maybe I should take out some of these because they've already happened, but this gives you an idea of what the dividend amounts will be if you purchase them where these arrows are. And so had a nice little drawback here week before last, got down almost to 83. It was a little frustrating, missed that limit order by a few cents. But we might be having a little bit of a retracement here. But like this one for the long run, pays amazing dividends. And we got one coming up here soon. So we should be having a dividend either this next week or the week after. And XOM, ExxonMobil, up 3.7% for the week. I'm not sure if this was a bear flag that hit or what. I'm going to delete some of these here and then we'll just work on looking into the future. But I think it's more so that this has kind of hit a double bottom here and then bounced up. And we got a little news article here. I guess Jim Cramer on this day said, this is not the moment to own oil. And then we had a nice little bottom and it shot up. So we can thank Jim Cramer for that. And Chevron up 3.6% for the week. looking pretty great, except we do have what's called a death cross right here. So maybe we got a little bit more downside in some of these oil equities, but looked good for this week. Occidental, I can start pulling this one up. We're getting a lot of questions about Occidental. I think that's because there's been a bunch of news reports that Warren Buffett is buying more, down 0.75% for the week. We asked Rick about this one and went into detail in the Rule Classroom. Still likes Exxon the best, but be sure to check out his comments if you're thinking of buying this or you own some. Blackstone Minerals up 2% for the week. Basically got resistance at 15 and support at 14. So close the option here. I sold my option for 44% to the upside. I was happy with that. Freehold Royalties. Man, this thing has just skyrocketed in the last couple of weeks. Looking amazing, up 8% just for this week. But you know, any buys around 13.50, I would put some stink bids down in here for $13 and 12.75, and it just pays you 9 cents a share per month in dividends. Just a little cash machine. Petrobras down 0.9% for the week. I sold my position in Petrobras for 1% loss, calculating in these dividends. I still lost 1%. I don't think there's anything wrong with this company. I just realized over the last month or so, I have not been keeping up on it. I don't follow it as much. I read stuff on Exxon and Devon a lot more, and especially going into what looks like an almost certain recession, I want to start consolidating my companies down instead of being quite so spread out. So in the future, I'm going to be focusing more on Exxon, Devon, and a dusting of Pado and Birchcliff. Natural gas up 5.6% for the week. Last week, I said it was hitting on some resistance, but I thought it would punch through, and that turned out to happen. I guess basically we had pocket fives, and it held against Ace King. Next level of resistance is going to be $2.65 as I see it. I think gas climbs again next week, but this time I think it's more like King 10 versus Jack 9, so even higher percentage chance that we continue up. Devon Energy is up 3.4% for the week. With some of these ones that I'm selling, I'm putting in limit orders here on Devon. My next limit order on Devon here is 39.25, and that's just lining up where it hit here last week. I think it's a deal now. I just have a lot of Devon, and now I'm getting cheap. But hopefully it hits. We'll see. Another level that I think has some value would be around 38.50. And that would just be lining up with this. And if we go way out on the charts, I got into the weeds, but I think 38.50 is a pretty good stink bid. Equitable up 5% for the week. I sold my position for a few percent gain. This is the same story as Petrobras. I think it'll do well. I don't think there's anything wrong with this company. And actually looks good now on the charts. Not for a buy, but maybe to hold on just a little bit longer. I think I probably could have made a few more percent. But, you know, I just don't study it like I should. And I'd rather put it into Devon, which I'm looking at all the time. Woodside Energy up 3.2% for the week. Hopefully we found a bottom down here. Had the dividend pay, so that's usually when the bottom forms. I thought about taking an option down here, and I just never did it, regretting that decision now. We've got support down around 16 and resistance up here around 18. I'll probably be exiting this position as well, although it looked just a little bit too good on the charts for me to exit stage left. Birchcliff. All right, this one is looking exciting. Hopefully Justin Trudeau is not reelected October 25th, and this will re-rate overnight. But in the meantime, we get paid a healthy dividend at these levels. If this one actually fills at 396, we'll be getting 7.3%. Heck of a dividend. Also put in another limit order down here for $3.55. Pado up 2% for the week. Basically got support down here around 950, 975. I got one limit order in here for 975. And then we got this stink bid pipe dream limit order in here for $8. And the only reason I put that is because we had a massive sell-off down to that level and right up. And if you look at it over the 30-minute time frame, this had to be one fund liquidating their position. And then it got snagged up by a bunch of limit orders down here by guys like me. So hopefully that repeats. I don't know that it will. But, you know, moments like this happen in companies that don't have a giant market cap. Well, this is worth 2 billion, you know, but it's not worth 60 billion or something. All it takes is one fund liquidating and you might get lucky. And Robert, thank you for the donation. You are a gentleman and a scholar. DC says, best financial channel on the planet. Amazing stuff, and it's free. Well, thank you, DC. I'm glad you guys are finding value in this. I love doing it. I love making money. I love helping others make money. The more money you make, the more you can give away. And, you know, more money allows us the time and freedom to go after that which makes you feel most meaningful, whether that's fishing, bowling, or finding patterns in stock charts. So glad you guys like this. I love doing it. It's a lot of fun. Okay, coal. Thermal coal closed the week 139.75. Met coal holding above 180. Closed the week at 182. Maybe we're ironing out a bottom here. The coal ETF is up 2.5% for the week. We now have 9.8 million assets under management. That's up 300K from last week. Still 470,000 shares. So I said I was going to put in a limit order for $18 down here. I didn't do it. Let me make a note of that, and then I'll do that today. Okay. And Glencore. Glencore is up 1.7% for the week. Still got support down here around 930. Resistance is going to be up here around 1030, just where it hit before. Some of the money that I am rolling out of Petrobras and Equitable, I'm going to be putting into Glencore, and I'm going to be putting into Birchcliff and Pado and more into Devon. And so I've got some limit orders down in here for Glencore at $9.40. It's not rocket science. It's just this point right here, that point right there. That would make it a triple bottom, looking like a pretty good floor. Lining way back up here, July 2022, and back here in 2021. I just like that level a lot. Caveat, recession, probably going to get whacked. AMR up 0.5% for the week. Still got support here at 186 and resistance just on the downside of this. We'll call it 120. Warrior Met Coal flat for the week. Support's still going to be on this rising 400-day moving average. I'll call it 51.52. Resistance is kind of around where we are now. But we do have support here on the 400-day moving average. And if we go to the weekly here, that lines up perfectly with the 100 weekly moving average. So if you're looking for some limit orders, I like that one a lot. Peabody BTU. So you guys remember we did a trade on this. This is what we call the BTU money hack. Secret money hack. Got this one down here at $20.71. Sold too soon at $22.36. I looked at it like this was 8% in 4 days. That was good enough for me. Should have stuck to my original just let it go at $23.50. But when I saw a move like that, usually there's retracements when it does that, and I just got out. But man, if I had held on, I would have had 15%, 15.5. Excuse me. So could have doubled it if I just held on for another few days, but hindsight is 2020. BTU's up 8.3% for the week. Looking like we can probably start entertaining a put here soon. Maybe Monday. Platinum down 2.5% for the week. Still above this rising 200-day moving average. There's a lot of support right here in platinum around 960. You got the 50, you got the 200, and you got the rising 20-day moving average. PPLT, the easiest way to bet on that in the stock market. Basically a warehouse full of platinum bars. Same kind of thing. You know, you got a lot of support right here. This would bring it down around like 87 or so. But the real bids that I think you should be entertaining is probably around $80 and, kind of right around this level here. Palladium is up 0.7% for the week. Got a lot of support down here around 850, 860 or so. There is also some support down here at 900. And the first level of support is going to be down here around 890. We'll call it 850 to 890. That's where the moving averages are. But we are getting a little stretched in the technicals here. So I think we're probably going to start having some pullbacks. PAL, the way to bet on it in the stock market, same kind of thing. You can just basically like overlay these charts or look at them both. I think stink bids around 79, 80 bucks on this fund are a great deal. SPPP up 11.5% last week and then down 1% for this week. Resistance is up here around 1050 or so, 1060, where we got that downward sloping 400-day moving average. Support on this one, I really like just limit orders at $9 and below. And platinum divided by silver. Okay, I'm going to add a couple of O's here because it is getting even cheaper. There we go. It is now down to 31 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of platinum. And if we go back over history here, let me look at this. I mean, when we go back to 2003, it took 150 ounces of silver to get 1 ounce of platinum. I mean, some of the more recent runs back here in 2014, it took 75, right? I mean, just some amazing deals here on platinum. If you're willing to trade some of your silver for it, I think there has never been a better time than now in the last couple of decades. And nickel is up 4% for the week. We have resistance, as I see it, around 17,000 to 17,500. Brendan says, always grateful for your content here, good sir. I don't miss a Monday market moves or any video for that matter. Would love to see a technical video from you. It is coming, sir, in the works. I've just got a lot of interviews coming up and I'll have to squeeze it in, but rest assured it's coming. And thank you. NIKL, our favorite nickel miners ETF, only one I'm aware of. It closed up 2.6% for the week. I think this is the easiest beta way to play nickel. Alpha way to play nickel. Centaurus Metals up 7.3% last week, 11.2% this week. I think a limit order down here for 21 cents is pretty good. They had their biannual report come out. They calculate that once they finally build this mine, their all-in sustaining cost is going to be about $3.50 a pound. And right now, nickel is sitting at $7.50 per pound. So that would be an amazing arbitrage. I hope they do it. I'm literally betting on it. Iron ore flat for the week, closed at $92. We still have resistance up here around 100, 101. Support now and then down here around 82. BHP is up 1.7% for the week. I think a limit order down here around 51, 52 is good. That's basically going to be your support. Your resistance is going to be up here around 55, 56. Rio Tinto is up 1.6% for the week. We got support down around 60, and the major resistance is around 72, 73. But the next level of resistance is going to be around 65. I did the same thing with this one. I've had this one for about a year. This is in an account that I don't have to pay taxes on, which is nice. And so anyways, I sold it for a little bit of a profit, especially with the dividends. Looks like I could have held off for one more day and got a few more percent out of it, but I'm not psychic. I think actually this is going to continue to go up. And if you follow this, I don't follow this one as much as I should. I follow BHP a lot more. And so I'm going to be rolling these profits and money into BHP when it approaches the buy zone again. But maybe I sold this one a little bit too soon and I should have treated it you know, kind of like some of the other bullish looking ones like Equitable, and held on just a little bit longer. But yeah, I think we still got a little bit more upside for this one, although probably a little bit of a retracement this week. And the PIC ETF, thank you, Joe Warren. This thing is awesome, especially for your guys' 401ks. You can just buy one ETF and forget about it. They pay a biannual dividend. I think it's biannual. Let's see, June. Yeah, biannual dividend. And it's pretty good. You know, got a lot of the big companies that you want to be in. If you think that copper and iron ore and all these metals are going to do well, looking a little getting stretched up there, 57 on the RSI. We do have some resistance right where we're at now. So I just expect a little bit of a retracement next week. But, you know, any entry points down here around 36, I think are a steal. And Bitcoin is at 63,000. That is up 7% as of this moment. I've been calling for lower highs, and we'll see if that happens or not. So kind of interesting here. Coming up on the 200-day moving average, which will act as resistance. If we get a higher bid than 65,000, then my whole thesis of lower highs did not play out. If it goes lower from here, then it looks like the bet is still on for a general downtrend in Bitcoin. Time will tell. We shall see. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys got something out of that. If you would like to see me review your company here on Monday Market Moves, you can do so with a donation using the link below or a super on YouTube. You get some quick fundamentals and any entry points that I see on the charts. Thank you for tuning in. Support the show and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. It's probably your buddy that can't stop talking about tech stocks. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.